Hello, and welcome to another second grade episode of Math Matters. I'm Miss Beckett, and today we are going to learn about probability. As you follow along today, think about how you are able to describe the chance of an event happening. We will have an opportunity for you to reflect on your learning at the end of the lesson. Also, as you are working today, you will have an opportunity to practice your Portrait of a Graduate communicator skills by making connections to what you read or hear and listen and ask questions so you can understand. For today's lesson, you will need some paper, a pencil, crayons, markers, or colored pencils. I will pause here and let you grab those things now. Welcome back. Let's get started. Look at the spinner on the screen. What do you notice? Maybe you noticed something similar to what I noticed. I noticed the colors green, blue, and red. I also noticed that there is a lot more red than blue, and a lot more red than green. I noticed half of the spinner was red. I also see that there was less green. It has the smallest amount of space on the spinner. I bet you noticed a lot of things too. What do you wonder? I wondered if we spin the spinner, which color will it land on? What else do you wonder? Great wonderings! You are already practicing your Portrait of a Graduate communicator skills by sharing your thinking. Today, we are going to learn about probability. Probability is the chance that something will happen. Sometimes the chance of one thing happening is more likely or less likely than something else happening. This is what probability is all about. We hear lots of different words when we talk about probability, like certain, impossible, likely, unlikely, and equally likely. What do you know about these words? First, let's think about certain and impossible. Impossible is an event that has no chance of happening. Certain is an event that will always happen. We are going to do a sort. I will read you the event and you will tell me if it's impossible, meaning it will never happen, or certain, meaning it is definitely true. The first one says, a tree will talk to us. Certain or impossible? That's right, it's impossible. Trees don't talk. The next one says, the sun will go down. That's certain. Every night the sun goes down. A pencil will write by itself. That's impossible. Pencils can't write by themselves. It will rain apple juice. Impossible. Tomorrow is a new day. That's certain. Horses will fly. Impossible. What else can you think of that's impossible and certain? Two other words we use when we talk about probability are likely and unlikely. Likely means that the event will probably happen. It is likely the spinner will land on green because there is more green than red. Unlikely means something that will probably not happen. It is unlikely that if you roll 5 dice, all of them will land on 6. What are some other events that are likely to happen? You can use the sentence stem, it is likely that. It is likely that the sun will be shining tomorrow. The meteorologist said tomorrow will be sunny. There's always a chance the weather can change, so it's likely, not certain. It is also likely I'd pull a pink marble out of a jar with 4 pink and 1 blue. What are some things that are unlikely to happen? You can use the sentence stem, it is unlikely that. It is unlikely that my dog will eat my math journal. It probably won't happen, but there's still a chance it could. It is also unlikely I will see a rainbow outside. Rainbows are rare and I don't see them very often, but there is a chance that it could happen. Equally likely occurs when there is the same chance of getting a result. For example, flipping a coin has the same chance of landing on heads or tails. Or spinning a spinner with equal parts has the same chance of spinning red, green, orange, or blue. Let's review all of the probability words we just learned. Look at the line on the screen. Does it remind you of a tool we use in math? It's a number line. We can use the number line to think about probability. Let's add some words to our number line today to help us describe probability. We learned the word for when there is no way that something can happen. Do you remember what the word is? We can say that it is impossible. It is impossible for me to pull a yellow cube out of a bag full of blue cubes because there are only blue cubes inside. Events that are impossible belong at the 0 in the number line. Then at the other end of our number line is the opposite of impossible. If we are sure something will happen, we say that it is certain. I am certain to pick a blue cube out of a bag full of all blue cubes. Events that are certain belong at the 1 on our number line. Some events have outcomes that are equally likely, like the coin flip we talked about earlier. It is equally likely that when I flip the coin, it will land on heads or tails. Where might equally likely go on our number line? Events that are equally likely belong at the half mark on the number line, right in between impossible and certain. What other probability words belong on our number line? If something probably won't happen, it is unlikely. Unlikely should go close to impossible because it has a chance to happen, but it probably won't, like rolling all 6s on dice. The last word we need on our number line is likely. Where do you think it should go? It should go between equally likely and certain. I am likely to pick a blue star because there are 4 blue stars and only 1 red star. Now we will look at the probability of selecting a red marble and place the images on our number line. If I have a bag full of red marbles, what is the probability I will pick a red marble? It is certain I will pick a red marble if all the marbles are red. What if I have a bag of blue marbles? What is the probability I will pick a red marble? It is impossible because there are no red marbles in the bag. This bag has 3 red marbles and 3 blue marbles. What is the probability of selecting a red marble? It is equally likely since there are the same number of blue and red marbles. This bag has 5 blue marbles and 1 red marble. What is the probability of choosing a red marble? It is unlikely because there's only 1 red marble. Our last bag of marbles has 5 red and 1 blue. How would you describe the probability of choosing red? It is likely to choose red because there's more red. Let's use what we know about probability now to look at this bag of blue and yellow counters. If you reached into the bag, which color is most likely to be pulled out of the bag? Why? I noticed that even though there are some yellow counters on the top, we are thinking about the probability or chance. I noticed there are 3 yellow and 6 blue, so the probability of pulling a blue is more likely because there are more blue. Now we will talk about probability with spinners. Look at the spinner on the screen. What do you notice? Below, you will see some sentence stems to guide your thinking. Let's do them together. It is most likely the spinner will land on red, because there's more red spaces on the spinner than yellow. It is impossible that the spinner will land on purple, because there's no purple on the spinner. It is unlikely that the spinner will land on yellow, because there's only 2 yellow spaces and 6 red spaces on the spinner. It is certain the spinner will land on red or yellow, because those are the only spaces on the spinner. Here's another spinner. What do you notice? I noticed it is equally likely to land on blue or polka dots because they both have 2 pieces on the spinner that are the same size. This means that one color isn't most likely or unlikely since they have the same chance. What is it impossible for the spinner to land on? Green. Maybe you thought about a different color. Any color that's not on the spinner is impossible for it to land on. What is it certain for the spinner to land on? Blue or polka dots, because there are no other colors besides those on the spinner, so it is certain you'd land on one of them. We see probability all around in our world. The other day I was eating M&Ms and I realized, oh wow, this is probability. I dumped my bag of M&Ms out and made a picture for you to see what they looked like. You can use the words in the box to help you as we talk about the probability of these M&Ms. What color will you most likely pull out of this bag? Yellow. There are 6 yellow M&Ms, which is more than any other color in the bag. How would you describe the probability of pulling out a green M&M? Unlikely, because there's only one green M&M. How would you describe the probability of pulling out a pink M&M? Impossible. There are no pink M&Ms. How else could you describe the probability of my M&Ms using the words in the box? Great job practicing your portrait of a graduate communicator skills. You've been making a lot of connections so far. You will need your paper and crayons, markers, or colored pencils to solve these next 2 tasks. On your paper, draw some marbles or circles so that the probability of picking a red marble is certain. If you don't have crayons, you can write the letter of the color inside the circle. So for example, you could make a circle and put the letter R in it to stand for red. Draw what it would look like to be certain to pick a red marble. If something is certain, it will always be true. This means the jar needs to have all red marbles, so that no matter what you pick, you'd be certain to pick a red marble. Does your drawing have all red marbles? Maybe you have more or less marbles than I have. Remember, the number of marbles doesn't matter here. What matters is they are all red to be certain you pick red. Let's try one last practice problem. Draw marbles on your paper so that the probability of picking a blue marble is unlikely, but not impossible. Here's what my marbles looked like. If I wanted the blue marbles to be unlikely, I knew there had to be less blue marbles than another color marbles. In today's episode of Math Matters, we learned about probability and how to describe the outcomes of different events. How did you do working towards our learning goals? Reflect on your progress by giving a thumbs up if you feel like you got it, a thumb in the middle if you are still practicing, or a thumb down if you need help from a teacher or someone at home. As you think about the learning goals for today, maybe there is something new you learned that you don't want to forget. Or maybe there is something we talked about today that you still have questions about. Take a minute to record your reflections on today's lesson and save them for the next time you're able to check in with your teacher. If you want some more practice with probability, you can create an experiment and explore the likeliness of the event. See if you can find games in your house with dice or spinners, or make your own spinners. You can even use coins and create experiments to practice the probability words we learned today to describe what happens. Mathematicians are communicators. Take a moment to reflect on yourself as a mathematician today. Were you able to make connections to what you read or heard in the lesson? Did you listen and ask questions to understand probability? Thank you for joining me for today's second grade episode of Math Matters. I'm Miss Beckett and hope you will tune in for more math fun tomorrow. And remember, keep on counting and searching for probability.